We've got a showcase today.
Trying to start a riot. Who in here trying to start a riot?
Hey, what's up everybody? TechChucker here. I'm finally done. This is going to be a pretty chill showcase, so hopefully you've got yourself a nice cup of coffee and you're ready to go, because I'm ready to go. December 2021, I pre-ordered from Sideshow Collectibles the Hot Toys Into the Spider-Verse Miles Morales figure. I was so excited. I'm like, I'm gonna build a diorama, but I'm thinking, oh, let's make it simple and not too complicated. That way then I can actually get it done in a timely fashion. Threw all of that out the door. Granted, it's not actually that complex of a diorama, but it took me forever. It's 2023 now, so 2 years. That's kind of my average. Let's go ahead and go through the build process, show you some of the work in progress, a little story behind it. I wanted one wall and the floor, so I went on the internet and I found some reference pictures. I chose this particular reference because it was Miles's bedroom. I love the way that this room looks. I didn't figure that I was gonna do this 100% the way that it was in the picture. I wanted to make my own version just because I don't have that much space. While it is 1/6 scale, not everything is 100% to scale because I needed it to be able to fit easily on a shelf or whatever, because I don't have a lot of space. I made this wraparound thing that I wanted it to look complete, so I wrapped around the brick in the front. I wanted to have actual wallpaper of some sort. I went to Hobby Lobby. I found this amazing paper. It's kind of like a cardstock paper. It has texture in it, and it's basically the exact color that I was looking for. I was going to cut the bricks in a few small spots and then just have that showing through. I did the bricks and realized, crap, I spent all this time getting my bricks cut all nice, and then realized this side is getting covered up with this. I was supposed to be doing the bricks on this side. I thought I was close to done. Well, the problem with that was the wallpaper, when I glued it on, started getting the little texture. Probably should have just spackled the whole thing, filled in all of the spaces. So I had to flip it around, brick the other side. So dumb. The carpet was interesting. When we replaced the blinds that we had covering our sliding glass door, I saved the fabric. It's kind of got a texture to it. It was perfect to be my carpet. So if you've been into dorms or any kind of commercial place, they have those tile carpet pieces that, you know, if something gets stained or ripped up, they can just pull a few pieces out and put it in. Well, that's what I did here, and I cut all these pieces into 2" by 2" squares, and I was gonna paint a little design on it. My paint just kept soaking into it, and it didn't have the nice lines that I was hoping for, but I still think it turned out pretty good, even with that. And I just glued it down with regular, PVA glue, and that turned out pretty nice. The window was 3D printed. I designed it myself using Tinkercad. The back side, though, I decided I was gonna hand make that out of cardboard, and I posted up on my Instagram a lot of the in progress of a lot of this stuff, and I just didn't like the way that it was looking. It wasn't looking perfect. It just had some weird looks to it. So finally I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna 3D design this outside one as well. I want it to match the look of the inside. And my friend George, Plastic Addict, he always gives me a hard time. He's like, why do you do the backside when nobody's gonna see it? I'm like, I don't know. I like to know that it's done on all sides. And I had an idea. Originally it was gonna be reversible. That just didn't pan out, but I like having all sides complete. So that's kind of the way that went. The shades, those were handmade. That was a pain in the butt, that process. It just took forever, but it was way worth it. The original idea was that they were gonna function. I had it designed so that I could pull the string. The thread that I was using was too thin. So threading each one of these individual blinds was a nightmare. It was so annoying. I had the holes cut but every single time I would try and thread it, and all of a sudden the stupid thread would just snap off. It was such thin stuff. Had to scrap the idea of it being functional, and then because of that, it's if I actually had it drop down, it wouldn't be long enough. But again, there's one of those scale things that you're gonna find. Sometimes you don't need to do the full scale. You don't need to do 100% to make it complete. It still looks the part and it looks good. It paints up nice, so I'm pretty happy with that. The furniture is handmade. I made it out of basswood, which is a little harder than your balsa wood. And then I mixed the paint to get the color just the way that I wanted it. And the part that I'm most happy with is actually the little pulls on the drawers. And those are just paper clips cut and then bent into 90 degrees. And now the nightstand is a little bit too short. I needed everything to kind of fit into this, and that's just the way that it all worked out. There are a bunch of other 3D printed items or accessories that I did. Most of this stuff is stuff that I actually designed or modified. So the heater is something that I designed myself. Everything there I designed. The little bottom part, there's a little pipe that comes out. That's a sprue from a Gundam that I had made, and then I added a couple of other little things to that. There's a little wire to make it look like it's actually wired up. The office chair is a design that I found on Thingiverse, but I modified it a little bit so that it would swivel. It didn't originally swivel, and it was originally one file to print all in one piece. I printed it in multiple pieces to make sure that it printed nicely, and then I added in the little hydraulic lever so that way then it looked a little more authentic, and changed the scale because it was supposed to be a different scale. The box fan, I completely designed that and printed it. The first couple of versions didn't work, quite right for the size. I even tried, because I wanted to see how this would print for a 1/12 scale, and it actually, I think it might work pretty well. So if anybody is interested in a box fan, I can certainly print up some of those, and we can work out what kind of price that's going to be. The laptop is another design that I found on Thingiverse. I didn't like the way that it looked. It was really boxy looking. It was meant for like a Barbie. So I printed it off, and then I used some Sculpey to add a nice rounded cover, and same with the bottom. That way then it looked a little more sleek, looked a little more like an Apple Macintosh laptop. The only thing that I couldn't find was I couldn't find a way to make the Apple logo. I've got some nice aluminum tape. It's the stuff that you use for ductwork, but I couldn't get it cut in such a small design that I needed to actually match the Apple design. So if somebody has a way of getting like a 3 or 4 millimeter size Apple logo printed, that would be amazing. I don't have access to a laser cutter. That's probably what I need. So if you got access to something like that, that would just finish off that laptop. Really happy with how that turned out because it was kind of hand sculpted with a 3D print. So if you have a 3D printer and you find a design that's like almost there, you can usually, using that Sculpey stuff, you can finish it off and make it just look absolutely amazing. Some of the paper goods that I've got in there, I've got some books that I created. I posted up some pictures of that on Instagram as well. If you guys are interested, I'll do a tutorial on how to make books. It's really easy and it looks so good. I love the way that these books turned out. The posters, the one that I've got up here, which I'll show closer up, that's actually a screen grab from the reference picture, and I had to adjust the way that it, because otherwise it was kind of at a weird angle, the way that it was shot. And so I replicated that, 3D printed the little frame and threw a little piece of plexiglass over that. The corkboard, 3D printed the frame, and I found online just a picture of corkboard and scaled it down to my 1/6 scale and printed it off, and it looks just like corkboard. And then all of the little post-it notes and whatnot, I just created in my video or in my graphic arts program. I think it's Inkscape is what I use. Printed it off on some color paper And then I wrote this little letter as though it was a letter of recommendation. I found some generic text and scaled it down to 1/6 scale, printed it off. I created the letterhead and all that stuff. My printer isn't a high resolution printer, but it still did a decent job. I printed off this comic book. I actually got a trial subscription to Marvel Unlimited so that I could get the actual pages from the comic book. And I believe this comic book was one of the comics that's in the reference, if I'm remembering correct. So I wanted to have as much accurate stuff in there as I could. But yeah, this comic book that you see here has all of the pages from that comic. If you could zoom in and I had a higher res printer, you'd actually be able to read that comic. I also created these Pokemon cards. Again, same thing, went out on the internet, found the pictures, and had to print it two-sided. So that way, and actually I printed it on 2 pieces of paper and then puts a little bit of hard stock in between and then glued them together. That way then they would be a little thicker and a little bit, would be able to hold up a little bit better. And then the last thing is this meanwhile sign, which is removable. And the reason that it's there is because the piece of foam that I used had a magnet already in it. I had repurposed this piece and I completely forgot that there was a magnet in there, painted it up and realized, shoot, I've got this magnet here. And then I realized, oh, that's great. I can use this as something to stick on if I want to throw a sign on there, if I want to throw any kind of little accessory. So for right now, I have this meanwhile sign, which I just printed off, but I can put anything I want there. I just haven't figured out what else I want to put in there, but that gives me a little bit more flexibility if I want to change that up. Last but most important part of this piece was the tear in the multiverse. I didn't want this just to be a straight up room diorama. While it would look awesome, I wanted to have a tear in the multiverse, and I had to figure out how I was going to execute it. I knew it was going to be lit up, but when I started, I had no idea how I was going to do it. I went to Amazon and I found the Govee Smart LED strip lights. They're pretty cheap. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to get this exact version. They're RGB, so that means I can change the light color to whatever I wanted. I didn't want to be stuck with just one color. Pink or purple was kind of what I knew I would need because that kind of matches what the tear in the multiverse is going to look like. But if I wanted to go with red or yellow or blue or whatever, I wanted to have that option. I can control it with my phone, which is pretty awesome. I can also control it, and you can see it, it's back here behind me. I can control it with my Amazon device. So I've changed the word for it. Usually it's computer, and then whenever, because I work with computers, whenever I say that, then she starts talking. So if I go echo, multiverse off, echo, multiverse on, you can see it's turning on and off in the background, which I absolutely love. I had some sheets of clear plexiglass that, if I'm being totally transparent with you, I found in the dumpster at my work. I found sheets of it. So I've got enough plexiglass forever. It's like 1/8 inch thick, which is amazing. I cut out a design that would fit what I wanted. And so I had already cut the line that was going to be that wall, that hole. And then I cut a trough on the top and bottom pieces. So that way then the kind of like light box that I created would just slide in and out of that. And basically then I just designed it so that it would fit up and around the window, and I lined the outer edges with my LED lights. And that's basically all it is. It's glued together. Now, I had a problem. I did not want you to be able to just see through it and just see the wall behind it. I thought, well, that's going to look like crap. I grabbed some saran wrap, the regular saran wrap in your kitchen, crumpled it up and put it in there, and boom, that just solved the problem for me. I took the rest of the light and I created a channel that goes around the front of it. So if you look closely, you'll see little blown out parts in the front and the sides. that will illuminate a little bit, and I've got little pieces of the packing foam, or the stuff that you can use in like a pillow or a stuffed animal, and I spray painted that with a little bit of black to make it look like it's kind of smoke, and I think it turned out pretty darn awesome. But the best part is the fact that I can control it with my voice. That's my favorite part. So I can put this wherever. I don't have to worry about an on-off switch. I can just turn it on either from my phone or remotely. I love this piece. I love this action figure. I love the Into the Spider-Verse movie. I can't wait for the new one to come out. I'm really glad that you guys are here so that I can share this dio with you. I don't get to share a lot of my dios because I don't finish a lot of dios. I just don't have a lot of time. But I'm hoping this year to put out a little bit more work on dios because I've got a little more energy and excitement for the craft again, and I'm gonna get started with more of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little showcase of my diorama. It's a fairly small, simple dio, but it means a lot to me because I love this movie. I love Miles Morales. I love the Spider-Verse movie, and I'm really looking forward to the new one that should be coming out, I think, near the end of this year. Let me know what you guys think of the new dio. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support. If you're so inclined, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification, all that jazz. Keep on creating, keep on taking chances. If somebody says you can't, well, go prove them wrong and show them that you can. I'll see you later, you guys.
They call me a